All right, welcome back, you guys. Tonight we will actually be starting on our ornament. So we're going to start a little differently than I showed you last night. We're going to start with what I know is called a magic ring. We're going to start like we're making our slip knot, but instead of pulling it tight, we are just going to leave it loose. This is the loop we're going to work with. Tonight I am using an F hook because I like my stitches a little tighter for this pattern. I'm going to go ahead and chain one. That way I can actually work in this loop. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to single crochet 3 stitches. So that's 1, let's see, 1, 2, and 3. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to untuck this tail. I find it's a lot easier to pull this tight if that is untucked. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay that tail along the loop and single crochet over it so I don't have to worry about my loop coming undone in the future. And I'm going to continue on with my 3 more single crochets. First, I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. There we go. So that's 1, 2, oops, almost lost it there. And 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up by pulling on the tail again. Why didn't you shrink down? That should have shrunk down. Maybe I just didn't pull it hard enough. I'll just crochet over it. Little things like that sometimes happen, but in the long run, that will be on the inside. It won't be seen, will not affect the pattern whatsoever. So I'm just going to push that back. We're going to go ahead and, one moment, grab the front loop. Sometimes this first row is a little tight, so you got to help it onto the hook. Yarn over, go through 1 loop, yarn over, go through 2. And this is where I'm going to put my safety pin that I use as a stitch marker. I find it's much easier to move a safety pin than any of the little rings that I find in kits. So this is where we start increasing. We're going to increase by doing 2 single crochets in every single stitch. So all 6. By the end of this second row, we will have 12 single crochets. So I've done 1. We're going to go ahead and do there's number 2. You don't want your tension too tight, otherwise you won't be able to get your hook in. But having it needing to give it a little help in this first row is okay. So we're going to do 1. See, I almost lost my hook, lost the loop again. And if you do, just, it's not too big a deal. Pick it up at the beginning of the stitch if you can. There's 2. We're going to go to the next stitch. So there's 1. And again, that's 2. There we go. That'll make it easier. Whoops. Come on. There we go. 1, 2, right? Nope, that's just 1 in there. It's 1, 2. Hope you guys are able to see this, okay? This is my first time doing a crochet tutorial. So there's 1, 2, and the last set of 2. My project will cooperate. Oh, you're gonna do that on me. All right, there we go. There's 1 and 2. All right, so row 2 is done. Let's see, can you see that? So that right there was our ring of 6 single crochets, and we've just completed row 2 of single crochets. I'm now going to take out the stitch marker and then do a single crochet in the front and back stitches. So I'm grabbing them, both the front and the back stitch, yarn over, go through both those, yarn over, go through 2. And then I'm going to put my stitch marker back in place so that I know where the beginning of the round is. I'm going to see if maybe a different light setting will help you see that a little bit better. I think that might be slightly better. Okay, so that was stitch 1 of round 3. So we're going to go ahead, do that again because we need to keep increasing in the beginning. So that's 1, 2, and then 3 is by itself. 1 and 2 will always be together. All the others will be by themselves. So we've got stitch 1, up here. Stitch 1 and 2 together. 3 is by itself. We're going to do that all the way around. And same thing for rows 4, 5, and 6. 1 and 2 together, and anything else is by itself. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. I also find this helps me mentally keep track of which row I am on. One, 2, 3. 1. Same stitch for 2. Come on. I see my tension's a little bit too tight. That's why I'm struggling to get my yarn through. So I got to make sure to ease up back on my tension fingers. So 1, 2, and back here. 3 is by itself. I'm gonna pause this, finish this out, and I will meet you after row 6. All right, so here's the last repeat of row 6. We're gonna go 1, 2 in that same stitch, And then everything else is by itself. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if your count, if 6 isn't in this last stitch before your stitch marker, you need to go back through and make sure all your little counts are correct. Now, as you can see, this is starting to get a little bit of corners, but for the most part, it's pretty flat and round. Now, these corners are just because that is where you did the increase, and that's okay. That will get smoothed out. Even if you did more foundation row or foundation single crochets, like in that first row, say you needed 8 sides to your ornament, you would start with 8 single crochets in that first row, and then you would build this out 8 rows instead of 6. 6 single crochets, 6 rows. That is how I keep everything a circle. So we're going to go ahead, remove our stitch marker, do 1 single crochet, put the stitch marker back in, and then you're going to go ahead and move on to your next single crochet, and that is it for the next 6 rows. Make sure that once you come all the way around, you move your stitch marker. Yes, you still need it. You will continue to need it for this whole ornament, because you got to keep track of your rows. As you can see, we've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I just started row 7. So from now, for the next 6 rows, it will be single crochets all the way around, and I will leave you here tonight. Go ahead and do your next 6 rows, and I will come back and see you tomorrow night. Bye.